Hey y'all, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. All right, a little while ago we did a video on long-term storage and how you could do it on the cheap. Well, I've had a number of people email me and they're asking about things like sugar, which I got a 50-pound bag right here I got at Sam's. And it's a lot different. Not a lot, but it's a little different. If you make the bad mistake of taking your Mylar bag, and this is where I was kind of critical before about these ones that have these ones that you can stick back together. I wasn't a big fan about it, but this is where I am a big fan. I'm gonna stick this down in here and I'm gonna do like I normally do. Now this time I'm gonna pour it in. Sugar is a little bit different. And I'm gonna demonstrate the reasons why, and why one of these bags, even though you paid a tiny bit more for it, is actually the better choice. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pour this down in there, and then I'm gonna shake it down and do the whole thing I did before. Refer to the previous video if you need some instructions on that. Now I'm gonna have William kind of halfway help me out here. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead, remember, start a little bit. A little bit of sugar there. And then, remember, don't pull it all the way out of the bag because it's kind of a square peg in a round hole. Shake it down a little bit and then put some more in. I can go quite a bit more on this one. Now that I got it kind of square to the bottom, I usually go through this about 3 times. Okay? Now there's 2 reasons. Now, if you can look down this, you can kind of see how it's kind of form-fit into the bag. Now I'll fill it plumb to the top. Pretty close. I want a little head space in there. Now, the whole reason I'm thinking about this, not only were there were emails asking about this sort of thing, but also it's that time of year where a lot of us are going to be doing baking. And as you can tell, I probably put on a few more pounds. I'm blaming Michelle for that one. Look, fact of it is, a lot of people use sugar. We really don't use that much of it. Now, the shelf life on this stuff, nobody really knows. There's some people that'll say, hey, this stuff will quit after a while. It's never been my experience. And right there, you hear my alarm going off. And I'm about to turn that off here in a second. Let me just add a little bit more there. That will happen every single time I don't want it to. Okay. Now that the chicken's out there doing this thing and I'm doing mine, here's where it changes. Unlike everything else that you may put back, you don't need an oxygen absorber on this. And I promise you, if you go and put an oxygen absorber on this thing, it's gonna be as hard as a rock. I guarantee it. It will be as hard as a rock. But what you're gonna do is try to get out as much air as you possibly can because there's moist air in there. It's better if you can do it in like a air-conditioned space or something like that because you want to try to get out as much moisture as you can. Go back to that method I showed you before where I'll take it as far as I can go and then I'll go ahead and zip it the rest of the way. Now, this is one of those preps you're going to want to put back, but do not make the awful mistake of putting an oxygen absorber in there. Now, it is Halloween, and it's one of those things that a lot of people celebrate. Here at Perma Pastures Farm, we don't celebrate it. Remember, we're advocates for Veterans for Child Rescue and a number of other places as well. So we don't celebrate that thing. That's a time of year when a lot of kids come up missing, and a lot of pets come up missing too. There's some freaky people out there. In fact, in the podcast tonight, I'm probably going to spend a little more time talking about this sort of thing and why we don't participate in it. But if for no other reason, the latest things in the news ought to have you convinced that Halloween should be the last thing you celebrate. You want to know why? Think about who could be opening that door. It could be Paul Pelosi in his underwear holding a hammer. Or it could be Hunter Biden holding a crack pipe. I mean, it could be Dick Cheney holding a nuclear switch. It could be any number one of those freak jobs. Either way, you ought not celebrate it. I mean, if for no other reason than just consider that thing. All right. Well, back to what it is right now. I mean, 1 5-gallon bucket is enough to hold about 3/4 of the bag. And so I'll just go ahead and fill up some more. So these are more of those preps that you can be putting back right now, especially with these, there's people talking about a diesel shortage, which is curious to me because as an electrician, I did a lot of work in In refineries, not a lot of work, but I have worked in a few refineries, and it sure is funny because diesel comes off the top. So if diesel is short, how come everything else isn't? Either way, if it's going to be a shortage of, let's say, diesel or whatever, that means a lot of this stuff like this, is probably not going to be coming back down the road. Is it contrived? Is it controlled? Yes and yes. So be thinking about those preps and be thinking about what you need to put back. All right, y'all. Like I said, keep your family safe. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. Hide your husband. There's Hunter Bidens and Paul Pelosi's out there. And hide your preps. All right, y'all. Till next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. And this is part of permaculture. Preparedness really is. We'll see you next time.